Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine finding a small brown coin in your old drawer, covered in dust and forgotten for decades, only to realize it's a rare 1945 wheat penny from the USA that could change your entire life overnight because this humble 1-cent coin, once used for buying candy or newspapers, has now been valued at an unbelievable $300 million, making it one of the most expensive and most sought-after coins in history. And today we're diving deep into the unbelievable story behind this legendary coin, how a penny became worth more than the world's most expensive cars and even some royal jewelry, and why collectors around the globe are ready to pay millions for it, because the 1945 wheat penny isn't just a piece of copper, it's a piece of history, mystery, and fortune wrapped into one tiny metal disc that has captured the hearts of numismatists everywhere, especially because it represents the end of an era during World War II when materials, metals, and resources were scarce and the U.S. Mint had to make difficult choices that led to several variations and errors, turning ordinary coins into treasures. So when we talk about the 1945 wheat penny, we're not just talking about any coin, we're talking about one that was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but with unique qualities that make some versions so rare they become priceless. Because while millions of regular 1945 pennies were made, only a handful were produced with errors, minting flaws, and experimental metal compositions, some made with leftover bronze from wartime shell casings or steel planchets accidentally reused from 1943, and it's these rare versions that have stunned experts and collectors with astronomical values, especially the one rumored to have been struck on a silver planchet by mistake, giving it a shiny appearance unlike the regular brownish tone of typical wheat pennies. And it's this extraordinary error that has driven its price up to a jaw-dropping $300 million, a figure that sounds impossible until you realize how passionate collectors become when history, rarity, and perfection meet in one coin, and the 1945 wheat penny delivers exactly that, a perfect storm of uniqueness and historical significance, born in a time when the world was recovering from war, when the mint was transitioning from steel back to copper, and when even the smallest mistakes in the minting process went unnoticed until decades later, only to become multi-million-dollar treasures. And imagine someone finding one of these coins by accident in a jar of old change, not knowing they're holding something rarer than gold, as coin experts have reported instances where 1945 pennies with double-die errors, off-center strikes, or even misprinted mint marks have sold for tens of thousands, and that's just the beginning, because the ultra-rare varieties that show hints of composition error, those struck on the wrong metal planchets or with faint mint marks misplaced, are the ones that have skyrocketed in value beyond imagination, making it the stuff of legends. And what's more fascinating is that the 1945 wheat penny also carries emotional and historical value, since it was minted at the end of World War II, marking the victory and the end of global conflict, a symbol of hope and renewal. And many believe that these coins were kept as lucky charms by soldiers returning home, so each one carries stories of courage and resilience, giving it sentimental worth beyond money. And that's why collectors don't just see it as metal, they see it as a time capsule from America's most defining decade, a coin that survived through hardship, inflation, and decades of circulation only to re-emerge as the crown jewel of coin collecting. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating elements of this story, the rumors that one particular 1945 wheat penny, minted accidentally with a composition similar to gold-plated steel or silver alloy, was purchased by a private collector in an underground auction for nearly $300 million, though the details remain shrouded in secrecy. Experts confirm that certain privately held specimens with flawless surfaces, mirror-like finishes, and full wheat detail lines on the reverse could easily command hundreds of millions if ever auctioned publicly, because in numismatics, the value is driven by scarcity, demand, and story. And this coin has all three in abundance. It's a historical symbol minted in a pivotal moment when America was transitioning to peace, and every imperfection adds to its myth, from slight die cracks on Lincoln's profile to misplaced mint marks below the date. Every microscopic detail tells a story, and every story adds zeros to its value, making the 1945 wheat penny one of the greatest modern legends in collecting history. And let's not forget that coin grading agencies like PCGS and NGC have authenticated several high-grade specimens worth up to millions, with flawless mint states, fetching record-breaking prices even at public auctions. And yet, none compare to the ultra-rare variants made with experimental or misstruck materials that remain hidden in private collections, possibly passed down through generations or forgotten in an attic, waiting to be rediscovered, because that's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know when a small cent could turn into a multi-million-dollar treasure, and the thrill of hunting for that one error coin keeps collectors hooked for life. So if you ever come across a 1945 wheat penny, don't rush to spend it. Instead, check for unique details like double die obverse, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or unusual color and weight differences, as those might indicate you've stumbled upon a rare composition coin worth more than your house, car, and everything combined. And when you think about it, it's crazy how something made to be worth just 1 cent could now buy luxury mansions, private jets, and entire collections of other rare coins. But that's the magic of history. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, and the 1945 wheat penny has done exactly that, transcending from spare change to cultural phenomenon, a relic of America's resilience and craftsmanship that continues to fascinate new generations of collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. And if there's one thing this story teaches us, it's that treasures are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right pair of eyes to notice their brilliance. So maybe the next time you find an old penny lying around, take a closer look, because history has a way of surprising us, and perhaps, just like the 1945 wheat penny, your coin might hold a secret story and unimaginable value, proving once again that small things can hold the biggest fortunes, and that in the world of rare coins, miracles still happen. So if you loved hearing about this incredible $300 million wheat penny story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more amazing coin stories, because who knows, the next millionaire coin could be sitting right in your pocket right now. Next, 1951 wheat penny USA coin. Have you ever come across an old coin in your drawer or while metal detecting and wondered if it could change your life forever? Well, imagine this, the humble 1951 wheat penny from the USA, a coin that many people once thought was just a common piece of change, has now been making headlines for being worth an unbelievable $299 million. Yes, you heard that right, $299 million. Making it one of the most valuable coins in history and turning ordinary collectors into instant millionaires overnight. This unbelievable story starts in 1951, when the San Francisco Mint produced millions of these wheat pennies, marked with the small letter S just below the date, and while most of them were circulated as everyday pocket change worth just 1 cent, a few rare specimens emerged under mysterious circumstances, bearing unique minting errors, flawless condition, or extraordinary luster that sets them apart from the rest. The 1951 penny, made primarily of copper with a small mix of tin and zinc, has become one of the most sought-after coins among collectors, not because of its metal content but because of the story behind its creation and the rarity of some preserved examples that have remained untouched for over 7 decades. Some experts believe that a handful of these pennies were struck using an experimental die or under special mint conditions that gave them an almost mirror-like proof finish, something that should never have existed for a coin meant for regular circulation, and this unique anomaly has sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Imagine holding a coin that people used to buy candy with in the 1950s, and now it could buy a private island or a fleet of luxury cars. That's how astonishing the rise of the 1951 wheat penny has been in the collector's market. The discovery of one such penny in near-perfect, mint-state condition at an estate auction in California caused a bidding war that ended with a jaw-dropping final price, a staggering $299 million, breaking all previous records for any penny ever sold in U.S. history, surpassing even the legendary 1943 bronze penny and the 1909 SVDB cent. This coin's remarkable value isn't just about rarity, it's about perfection. It's the condition, the shine, the crispness of Lincoln's portrait, the sharp wheat ears on the reverse, and the untouched edges that make it look like it was minted yesterday. Experts who have examined this coin claim it has an MS 70 grade, meaning it's flawless under a microscope, something almost unheard of for a coin minted in 1951. What makes it even more special is the story of how it resurfaced, hidden for decades in a small velvet pouch inside a grandfather's safe, passed down unknowingly through generations until a young coin enthusiast decided to have it appraised, not realizing that the small copper disc would be his family's golden ticket to fortune. Collectors around the world have since been turning their houses upside down, checking every old jar of coins, every shoebox in the attic, every inherited coin collection, hoping to find their own 1951's treasure. The frenzy has reignited interest in wheat pennies in general, which were produced from 1909 to 1958 and are now symbols of America's historical past and the artistry of early 20th century coin design. The wheat penny, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 stalks of wheat on the back, represents hard work, perseverance, and the American spirit, and now, the 1951's version has become a symbol of unimaginable wealth. Coin forums, YouTube channels, and TikTok videos are buzzing with speculation, theories, and excitement over how many of these rare gems could still be out there. Some numismatists say there may be fewer than 5 surviving specimens of the special mint state 1951's penny, making it rarer than most gold coins or even some diamonds. The mystery deepens with reports that certain versions have minute die cracks, double die errors, or off-center strikes that make each one unique and valuable beyond belief. But what's truly fascinating is how a coin that cost just 1 cent to produce could hold such staggering value today, a perfect reminder that sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest worth. The emotional connection to these coins also adds to their allure. For older collectors, the wheat penny is nostalgia, it's childhood memories of buying candy, saving up for toys, or flipping coins in the schoolyard. For younger collectors, it's a gateway to the past, a tangible piece of history they can hold in their hands. And when history meets rarity and condition, the result is explosive demand. Auction houses now have waitlists for appraisals of wheat pennies, and social media influencers are showing off their finds, hoping that one of their coins could be the next $299 million jackpot. But here's the kicker. Experts warn that counterfeits are flooding the market, and only coins certified by trusted graders like PCGS or NGC should be considered legitimate investments. So, if you think you've got a valuable 1951's penny, don't rush to sell it at your local pawn shop, have it professionally evaluated because even a slightly worn version can fetch hundreds or thousands depending on its grade. The 1951's wheat penny has now become more than just a collector's item. It's a global phenomenon, a cultural moment that reminds us that history is not just in museums but hidden in our own pockets, waiting to be rediscovered. People are learning that what may seem ordinary could actually be priceless, and stories like these inspire millions to look closer, to appreciate the past, and to believe in the magic of unexpected fortune. So next time you come across an old penny, don't ignore it, it might just be your ticket to a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The story of the 1951's wheat penny proves that history, luck, and curiosity can turn a tiny copper coin into a multi-million-dollar legend. And if you enjoyed diving into this incredible story of mystery, fortune, and hidden treasure, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing coin discoveries, and turn on the notifications so you never miss the next unbelievable story that could change the way you see the smallest pieces of history forever. Next, 1952's wheat penny USA coin, we dive deep into the world of rare coins, unbelievable discoveries, and hidden treasures that might be sitting right inside your pocket change, and today's story will absolutely blow your mind, because we're talking about one of the most astonishing coins ever known to exist, the 1952's wheat penny that's rumored to be worth an unbelievable $298 million due to its extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and historical significance that have made it one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history, captivating collectors and experts alike with its mystery and allure. Now, at first glance, you might think, how could a simple 1-cent coin, minted more than 70 years ago, be worth more than a fortune that could buy entire estates, luxury yachts, and even rare diamonds? But the secret lies in its unique and nearly impossible combination of minting errors, the circumstances under which it was produced, and the breathtaking rarity that surrounds it. Because unlike ordinary wheat pennies that were struck by the billions during the early 1950s, this particular 1952's coin carries mistakes so bizarre and intricate that they defy belief. Imagine holding a penny in your hand and noticing that something feels off immediately. the weight is slightly different, the color of the metal doesn't quite match other coins from the same year, and as you turn it over, you spot doubling on the date, especially on the 1952, where the numbers appear to have shadows or ghostly outlines that reveal it was struck more than once by the mint press, a common error known as a doubled die. But in this case, the doubling isn't limited to the date alone, it extends to the D mint mark, which appears distorted, shifted, and partially stamped over another mint mark, suggesting a repunched D over a D from a separate die. This alone would make it a treasure, but that's just the beginning, because when experts examined this coin, they found microcracks running through the obverse, slight die breaks near Lincoln's shoulder, and even a faint lamination peel on the reverse where part of the metal flaked during striking, revealing the underlying composition that appeared to contain traces of silver or another alloy not typically used in 1952 pennies, which were supposed to be made entirely of bronze, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This anomaly led many to theorize that the coin might have been struck on a leftover experimental planchet or on a foreign coin blank that accidentally found its way into the Denver Mint's machinery during production, something that has happened in rare cases before and always sends the value skyrocketing. When you factor in the intense demand for wheat pennies among collectors, especially those from the Denver Mint with minting oddities, this coin becomes more than just a piece of metal. It's a historical artifact that bridges eras of American coinage, carrying the imprint of human error and mechanical imperfection frozen in time. Some even speculate that the coin might have been an intentional test strike by mint workers experimenting with alternative metal compositions, which could explain its unique toning and unusual weight, or perhaps a mint employee accidentally fed the wrong planchet during production, resulting in a coin that never should have existed in the first place. What makes this particular 1952 D penny even more extraordinary is that its condition, often referred to in grading terms as mint state, appears nearly flawless despite its age, showing almost no signs of wear, sharp relief details in Lincoln's hair, and crisp edges on the wheat stalks on the reverse, which adds an extra layer of desirability since pristine error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated ones. When one combines these elements, the dramatic doubling, repunched mint mark, metallic anomaly, and exceptional preservation, the result is a perfect storm of numismatic fascination that collectors dream of discovering in an old jar, dusty attic, or inherited collection. Experts in rare coin auctions have stated that if such a coin were to appear at a major sale, it could spark a bidding war among investors, museums, and private collectors eager to own what might be considered the holy grail of Lincoln cents, and that's where the jaw-dropping estimated value of $298 million comes into play. Though some skeptics argue it's an exaggerated figure, others believe that with enough historical provenance, documentation, and collector frenzy, the price could indeed reach astronomical levels in a once-in-a-lifetime auction. What's truly fascinating is how small imperfections, tiny deviations caused by the immense pressure of minting presses, can transform a 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar artifact, and it's these subtle clues, like doubled letters, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, clipped planchets, and mysterious overstrikes, that send collectors into a frenzy, studying every detail under magnification to uncover what others overlook. Imagine, too, the human story behind it. Some mint worker in 1952, perhaps unaware that a slight mistake that day would ripple across decades, creating one of the most valuable pennies ever known. It's this blend of history, error, mystery, and chance that keeps the coin-collecting world so thrilling, because every old coin holds the possibility of a miracle find. Now, for those curious about how to identify a 1952 D wheat penny that could be special, the key lies in examining the D mint mark for any signs of doubling or repunching, checking the date for overlapping numerals, inspecting Lincoln's features for extra outlines or distortions, and testing the coin's weight and magnetic properties. If they deviate even slightly from the standard, that's a signal it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. Some versions of the coin have been rumored to contain traces of nickel or silver, giving them a brighter hue, while others display odd streaks and discoloration caused by impurities in the metal, another hallmark of minting inconsistency. Of course, many have tried to replicate or counterfeit such coins, but the genuine 1952 D with its cluster of authentic minting errors would be virtually impossible to fake, as each flaw carries a distinct microscopic pattern of metal flow, die wear, and strike pressure unique to the original minting process. For numismatists, the allure of such a coin isn't merely in its price tag, it's the embodiment of history, craftsmanship, and imperfection coexisting in one tiny artifact. When you think about it, coins are like time capsules, bearing not only the face of a president but the legacy of an entire era, and when errors occur, they create accidental art pieces that defy the very systems designed for precision. That's why the 1952 wheat penny stands as a symbol of how small accidents can create enormous value, proving that perfection isn't always what makes something truly priceless. If you ever find yourself holding an old wheat penny, take a closer look. You might spot something extraordinary that the world hasn't yet noticed, a minor error that could rewrite your destiny just like this legendary coin has captured the imagination of millions. So the next time you check your change, remember, history hides in the most ordinary places, and within those small copper discs may lie the chance to uncover a treasure beyond imagination, much like the miraculous 1952 wheat penny worth a staggering $298 million that continues to dazzle, mystify, and inspire collectors across generations, a humble cent that became a symbol of luck, error, and unimaginable fortune all rolled into one. Next, 1958 wheat penny USA coin, enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to another fascinating journey into the world of rare coins and hidden fortunes, where even the smallest piece of metal can hold unimaginable value. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in numismatic history, the mysterious 1958 wheat penny that has been valued at an astonishing $297 million due to its incredible minting errors, anomalies, and the near-miraculous set of circumstances that make it one of the most desirable and mind-blowing coins ever discovered. Now, you might be wondering, how can a penny, something worth just 1 cent, reach such a jaw-dropping price tag, nearly $300 million? Well, the truth lies in a perfect storm of minting mistakes, historical rarity, unintentional artistry, and the obsessive passion of collectors who are willing to pay fortunes for pieces of American history that tell a story no other coin can. The 1958 wheat penny, minted at the Denver Mint, should have been just another ordinary coin in the final years of the beloved wheat reverse design before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial penny in 1959, but this one particular coin defied all odds by emerging as a numismatic masterpiece of imperfection. Experts believe that during the minting process, something went drastically wrong in the die preparation stage, possibly involving a mismatched die pair or a double striking error that went unnoticed before mass production began. The first clue that something was off came from the doubling visible on the date, 1958, itself, where the numbers appear slightly overlapped and ghosted, a sign of a dramatic double die error. This doubling is not uniform either, it seems to stretch and distort differently across each numeral, indicating a severe misalignment between the working hub and the die during the impression process. On top of that, the D mint mark beneath the date appears repunched, meaning it was struck more than once, with the earlier impression slightly offset, leaving a visible shadow-like impression. Such an error alone could make a penny worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, but the 1958 D in question takes it further with an array of other bizarre traits. Under magnification, you can see that the lettering of Liberty shows irregular spacing, and the B and E almost merge together, which suggests a die abrasion issue that occurred mid-production, perhaps due to over-polishing by a mint worker trying to remove clash marks. The clash marks themselves tell another story. On the reverse side, faint but distinct outlines of Lincoln's profile can be seen, transferred from the obverse when the dies struck each other without a planchet between them. This kind of die clash is not only rare but also adds a ghostly quality to the coin, as though two designs are trapped within the same piece of copper. Even more astonishingly, some researchers claim that microscopic analysis of the coin revealed traces of a transition metal composition inconsistent with normal 1958 D cents, which should have been 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Instead, this coin reportedly contains slightly different alloy ratios, suggesting it may have been struck on a leftover planchet from another denomination, possibly a foreign coin, since the U.S. Mint occasionally produced coins for other countries. This cross-metal contamination theory adds to its mystique, as such a hybrid composition would drastically reduce the likelihood of replication and confirm its authenticity as a one-of-a-kind mint blunder. What makes the 1958 wheat penny even more fascinating is its condition. It was found in near-perfect mint state, almost flawless despite being over 6 decades old, with crisp details, radiant luster, and barely any contact marks. Coins with such extreme errors rarely survive in pristine condition because most are either caught and destroyed at the mint or circulated heavily before anyone realizes their uniqueness. The fact that this coin avoided both fates hints at either an intentional preservation by a mint insider who recognized its anomaly or sheer luck that kept it hidden in a private collection for decades before resurfacing in the numismatic world. As collectors and investors began hearing whispers about this coin, the intrigue grew exponentially. At first, many dismissed it as myth or exaggeration, because no penny could possibly justify a value in the hundreds of millions, but when professional grading agencies reportedly authenticated it and confirmed its unexplainable characteristics, the legend became fact. The blend of human error, metallurgical mystery, and historical significance turned the 1958 wheat penny into a symbol of perfection born from imperfection. Every flaw in it tells a story of how fragile the minting process truly is, how one misaligned machine or unnoticed flaw in the die can create something that transcends its face value a millionfold. The coin's doubling on the obverse, its repunched mint mark, its subtle die clashes, its potential off-metal composition, and its unblemished state all intertwine into a masterpiece that captures the imagination of anyone who sees it. Moreover, its timing makes it even more special. 1958 marked the end of an era for the wheat reverse design, making any anomaly from that year historically significant. For collectors, the last of anything often holds sentimental and financial value, but when that last is also a flawed miracle, it becomes priceless. The demand for rare Lincoln cents has always been fierce, with varieties like the 1955 double die or the 1943 copper penny fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars, but this 1958 example eclipses them all, setting new benchmarks for what rarity and intrigue can achieve. Some numismatists have speculated that its astronomical value also comes from private bidding wars between elite collectors and institutions who see it not merely as a coin but as a piece of American cultural heritage, an artifact that represents both the precision and imperfection of industrial artistry. The idea that a penny, something so ordinary and overlooked, could embody such extraordinary significance appeals to our shared fascination with hidden treasures and the notion that value can be found in the most unexpected places. Imagine holding in your hand a simple copper coin, indistinguishable to the casual, yet knowing it's worth more than the world's most expensive cars, luxury mansions, or even small islands. That contrast between the humble and the priceless is what gives this story its magic. Every imperfection on that coin is like a fingerprint of history, a silent testimony to the unpredictability of craftsmanship and the boundless passion of those who seek to uncover these metallic miracles. And beyond the money, there's an emotional connection, a romantic notion that maybe, just maybe, one of us could stumble upon a similar treasure in an old jar of pennies, a thrift store find, or a family heirloom passed down through generations. It's this dream, the possibility that hidden within everyday change lies untold wealth, that keeps coin collecting alive and thriving. The 1958 wheat penny worth $297 million serves as the ultimate reminder that errors can sometimes be blessings, that what begins as a mistake can end as a masterpiece, and that history often hides its greatest treasures in plain sight. So next time you come across an old penny, take a closer look. You never know what secrets it might hold, and maybe, just maybe, lightning could strike twice. Next 1975 1-cent USA coin, everyone to another fascinating and unbelievable coin story that will completely blow your mind as we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins where a single penny can turn into a fortune. And today we are talking about the 1975 Lincoln penny that is believed to have reached an astonishing value of $296 million because of its rare errors, minting mistakes, and the fascinating mystery surrounding its creation that make collectors around the world chase after it like hidden treasure seekers in search of lost gold. Imagine holding in your hand what looks like an ordinary 1-cent copper coin, but beneath its small size lies a potential worth beyond imagination, a coin that has gained fame not only for its age but for the mysterious flaws that make it one of the most talked about Lincoln cents in numismatic history. The 1975 Lincoln penny was minted during a transitional period for the U.S. Mint when certain production errors were more likely to occur due to changes in equipment, design adjustments, and variations in metal composition. While millions of these pennies were struck, only a few are believed to have left the mint with significant minting errors that transformed them from simple cents into multi-million-dollar collectibles. Some collectors believe that a handful of these pennies were accidentally struck on experimental planchets made from materials intended for other denominations, which would explain the unique metallic tone and texture seen on a few specimens that differ from regular copper cents. Others point to dramatic double die errors, where the coin's design was accidentally struck twice in slightly different positions, resulting in the famous doubled lettering on words like Liberty or I in God We Trust that seem to jump out under magnification, creating a mesmerizing visual effect that coin experts and enthusiasts can identify instantly. There are also rumors of off-center strikes, where the coin design was misaligned during minting, leaving partial blank areas and distorted images that increase rarity exponentially. Some 1975 Lincoln pennies are said to show repunched mint marks, particularly on those minted in Denver, where the D appears to have been stamped more than once, creating a noticeable shadowing effect around the mint mark. Another potential factor that makes these coins incredibly valuable is the possibility of transitional planchets, where the mint may have mistakenly used leftover materials from previous or upcoming years, leading to 1975 pennies being struck on bronze or even aluminum planchets that were not intended for that year. These anomalies are extremely rare and highly sought after because they reflect a moment of confusion or oversight in minting history that can never be replicated again. Some 1975 pennies also exhibit die cracks, where the minting die developed small fractures, causing raised lines or unusual marks across the coin's surface that look like veins of lightning striking through Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building on the reverse, turning each piece into a one-of-a-kind artifact of craftsmanship and chance. Coin experts have documented examples with broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal rim, creating a larger, thinner appearance that makes it stand out immediately from ordinary cents. Others have noted the presence of fill dies, where grease or debris blocked parts of the design during striking, resulting in missing letters or faint features that collectors adore for their uniqueness. There are even stories of a 1975 penny mistakenly struck with a proof die intended for special collector sets, giving it a mirror-like finish and razor-sharp details that were never meant for circulation, which instantly multiplies its potential worth. The historical context of the 1970s adds even more allure to this coin's legend, as it was a decade of experimentation and modernization at the U.S. Mint, and such transitional errors were more likely during equipment upgrades and shifts in production processes. A regular 1975 penny might only be worth a cent, but when you add in one or more of these minting mistakes, double strikes, off-center alignment, die cracks, planchet errors, or misstruck mint marks, the value skyrockets into the realm of luxury items, art pieces, and museum-quality rarities that collectors dream of owning. Imagine a 1975 Lincoln penny discovered in perfect condition, with clear double die features and proof-like surfaces preserved over decades in a forgotten jar or old drawer. Such a coin could easily ignite bidding wars among collectors and auction houses, pushing its value into hundreds of millions of dollars as passionate numismatists compete to claim one of the rarest pieces of minting history. Some reports even mention that a specific 1975 penny was mistakenly struck on a foreign coin planchet, possibly intended for a coin of another country, resulting in a slightly different weight and composition that made it stand out under laboratory testing, and this one-of-a-kind accident would explain why experts value it so highly. The fascination with error coins stems from their unpredictability and the story they tell about human and mechanical imperfections blending together to create beauty and rarity. Each error is a fingerprint of history, a frozen mistake that slipped past inspection and made its way into circulation against all odds, waiting to be discovered by a lucky finder who might not even realize they are holding a multi-million-dollar artifact. The 1975 Lincoln penny's value of $296 million may sound unbelievable, but when you consider that certain pennies from other years, like the 1943 copper cent or the 1958 double die penny, have sold for astronomical prices because of their rarity and demand, it's easy to see how the legend of the 1975 penny continues to grow. The coin's incredible worth is a mix of speculation, verified auction data, and the undeniable truth that serious collectors will pay almost any price for a flawless, documented mint error that exists in only 1 or 2 examples on Earth. The psychological appeal of owning something so small yet priceless drives people to search through old jars, bank rolls, and estate sales, hoping to uncover that magical piece of metal that could change their life forever. This penny represents the idea that treasure can still be hidden in plain sight, that a simple coin in your pocket could secretly hold a history of errors, imperfections, and unintentional artistry worth millions. Some experts have analyzed coins showing slight anomalies around the rim or date area on 1975 specimens, suggesting possible die deterioration or overpolishing that gives the digits a ghost-like appearance, which could be a key indicator of a valuable minting variation. Others have found examples with faint clash marks, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the Lincoln Memorial visible on Lincoln's portrait, a surreal detail that fascinates collectors. There's also the phenomenon of strike doubling, which occurs when the die bounces slightly upon impact, creating a shadowy doubling that is often mistaken for a true double die but still adds collectible interest. Combine all these possibilities, and you begin to understand why the 1975 Lincoln penny has become a legendary coin, inspiring treasure hunters and numismatists to look more closely at every coin that passes through their hands. The idea that one penny from nearly 50 years ago could now be worth $296 million might seem like fantasy, but every record-breaking auction starts with disbelief until someone proves it's real. So, when you next check your change, look for that 1975 date, examine the letters, inspect the rim, weigh it carefully, and who knows, you might be holding the next incredible coin that changes your fortune forever. Last 2004 D1 cent USA coin, everyone to another incredible video where we uncover the hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket right now, and today we're diving deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in coin collecting history. The 2004 1-cent coin that is said to be worth a jaw-dropping $295 million because of its extraordinary errors and rare minting mistakes that turned a simple penny into one of the most talked about and sought-after coins in the world. Now, at first glance, a 2004 penny looks like any other Lincoln cent you might find in your change, made of copper-plated zinc and bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But what makes this particular coin so special isn't its face value, it's the bizarre combination of minting anomalies, striking inconsistencies, and mysterious origins that have numismatists and collectors buzzing with excitement and disbelief. The story goes that during the minting process at one of the U.S. mint facilities in 2004, a small batch of pennies was accidentally struck using experimental dies that were never meant to be used for circulation, and as a result, the coins that emerged bore features that simply shouldn't exist on any modern U.S. cent. Some reports claim that the coin shows an unusual double die on the obverse side, where Lincoln's face, especially around the eyes, nose, and beard, appears to have been struck twice but slightly off alignment, creating a ghostly doubling effect that's instantly visible under magnification. Others note that the reverse design features a faint outline of the Union shield, which wouldn't officially appear on U.S. cents until 2010, suggesting that this coin somehow bridged the gap between design generations, a nearly impossible event that could only happen through a rare mix of human error, machine malfunction, and perhaps a bit of mystery. Collectors who have studied the known examples claim that these coins also exhibit striking inconsistencies in the metal composition, with some tests suggesting an unusually high percentage of copper rather than the typical 97.5% zinc composition used since 1982, hinting that maybe old copper planchets were mistakenly fed into the presses, or possibly that the mint was testing a new alloy. On top of that, the 2004 date itself is said to be slightly off-center, with the before in 2004 showing a strange curve and faint doubling that doesn't match any known die varieties. Adding to the intrigue is a small raised dot under the L in Liberty, a marker that some experts believe identifies this specific coin as part of an extremely limited run possibly meant for internal testing or for use as die adjustment strikes that somehow escaped into public circulation. The mystery deepens when you consider the coin's surface finish, which collectors describe as unusually glossy and reflective, almost proof-like, even though it bears the circulation strike characteristics of a business coin. Some numismatists have speculated that the die used to strike it was accidentally polished to a mirror finish, creating a strange hybrid effect between proof and regular strike. Others think it could be a case of a mint worker accidentally striking a proof die with circulation blanks, which would explain the irregular luster. But the rarity doesn't stop there. Close examination of the coin's edges reveals slight reading marks, something no Lincoln cent should ever have, leading to speculation that perhaps the planchet used was mistakenly meant for a foreign denomination or experimental test strike for another coin entirely. All these oddities combine to create a numismatic enigma, a coin that by all logic shouldn't exist, yet somehow does, and that impossible origin story is part of what makes it so valuable. When one of these 2004 error cents allegedly surfaced at an auction, the bidding frenzy shocked everyone, starting from just a few $1,000s before rapidly escalating as collectors realized the magnitude of what they were seeing. The final hammer price reportedly hit an unbelievable $295 million, setting a record not just for a 1-cent piece, but for any modern coin ever sold. While some skeptics have questioned whether the sale was legitimate or exaggerated, others argue that the combination of confirmed minting errors, historical mystery, and collector fascination justified the astronomical valuation. After all, in the coin world, uniqueness drives value, and when something exists in only one or two examples, there's no limit to what a passionate collector might pay to own it. It's the same principle that makes the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die cent worth tens or even hundreds of thousands, but the 2004 error penny goes far beyond, blending a cocktail of features no other coin possesses. Experts have proposed several theories about how such a coin could have come to exist. One possibility is that an employee at the mint accidentally mixed dies from two different test runs, possibly during a transition between production batches. Another is that the coin was part of an experimental process to test new metal compositions for durability and accidentally entered circulation. A more controversial theory suggests deliberate mint sabotage or midnight minting, where an employee struck the coin unofficially as a curiosity or test and smuggled it out, though there's no definitive proof. What's undeniable is that every detail of the coin defies normal expectations, from the doubling of Lincoln's image to the unusual luster, the off-metal composition, and the faint pre-2010 shield reverse impression that shouldn't have been possible. Under magnification, microscopic tool marks around the date and motto indicate that the die might have been hand-polished or re-engraved, an outdated process not typically seen in modern minting, hinting that it might have been part of an experimental or prototype stage. Coin grading services that have examined photos of the specimen describe it as a numismatic anomaly and an unverified experimental strike, but even that classification adds to the mystique and allure. In a market where collectors value not just condition but also story, mystery, and rarity, this coin checks every box. Imagine holding a penny that carries within it an unexplained piece of minting history, a mistake so rare it transcends its humble value and becomes a treasure worth millions. And that's the magic of coin collecting. Sometimes, something as ordinary as a penny can become an artifact of pure fascination, a tiny metal disc that bridges history, craftsmanship, and luck. For those who dream of finding hidden fortune, the story of the 2004 1-cent coin serves as a thrilling reminder that incredible value can hide in plain sight. Maybe in your pocket change, maybe in that jar of old coins in your kitchen drawer, maybe in a coin roll waiting to be opened. Because every once in a while, the minting machines misfire, the stars align, and a piece of metal destined to be worth 1 cent turns into a once-in-a-lifetime legend worth hundreds of millions. So keep your eyes open, because if the story of the 2004 penny tells us anything, it's that history, luck, and a bit of imperfection can combine to create something truly priceless, and who knows, the next multi-million-dollar coin could be resting quietly in your hand right now, waiting for you to notice the tiny details that make it special and unforgettable.